So now I want to get into the journey, why you guys all came. The journey I took to meet the girls through Surfing Possibility was a really personal journey for me. And this narrative, again, turned out to be much more complicated than I thought it would. I learned about surfing in India from a surf coach down in Santa Cruz who sent me this link, and it was about a surf contest in India, and in it, it mentioned India's first female surfer. And I thought, wow, this is so interesting. There's a woman surfing in India, and then I started realizing there were girls taking to the water in all different countries around the world. And my first thought was, I want to go surf with her, and I want to meet her. And I thought it would be super cool and fun. And given that my parents are from that area of the world, and I wondered, God, what things do we share in terms of challenges, and what things were different? So that's really how I just found out about surfing around the world, in places like India and Bangladesh. And I gave a talk about brown girl surf in San Francisco, and there was a woman named Kara Jones of Storyteller for Good who was there listening to me. And I was talking about how I was going to go to Bangladesh and India and meet these surfers, and she came up to me after this talk and she had 4 words. She was like, "I'm going with you." I was like, okay. And she's like, I want to make a film about this, and I think this is really interesting. And so we basically hobbled together a Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign, raised a bit of money, and then we went off to South Asia. So that's how the story of Surfing Possibility came to be. And if you move to the next slide, you'll see us here filming our trailer. That's Kara and I. So off we went to India. And of course, there's always a certain expectation we have when we travel of the way things we think are going to go, and then there's a reality of the way they end up going. So I'm going to speak to both of those. A little bit of background on surfing in India. Anglo-Western guy, came to India and set up a surfing ashram, of all things, and he was teaching people to surf locally and probably doing meditation and other things. And Ishita, who's India's female surfer, she happened to take a surf lesson at the ashram, and I guess she was on vacation from school, and totally fell in love with it, and ended up becoming the first known female surfer in India. So we met her on our trip, and we're going to show you a video about Ishita. I think spoke to a lot of the expectations we had for India. And now I'm going to get into the reality. So the one thing about, the reality of my story, the one thing about this is that I didn't actually get to go on the trip. I didn't even go. Many of you who follow the blog know this, and you guys might have heard that India and Pakistan sort of don't get along, and they're in sort of a Cold War with each other, if you will. And because my parents, one of them hails from Pakistan and the other Bangladesh, and they're both Muslim countries, after sending in my birth certificate, my naturalization papers, I got rejected for the visa. After sending my parents' original passports, I was rejected again. Then they wanted an affidavit statement for me that I was never a citizen of Pakistan, even though I was born here. And it was rejected again after I gave it to them. And so I spent 50 days in a visa war. I'd bought my ticket and everything, and I didn't end up getting a visa to go. And what was so ironic is that during this whole time, we got nominated for this project for an award for Surfing Possibility. And the event was on the eve I was supposed to leave for India, and the chief guest of honor was the Consulate General of India, who I had emailed several times about my visa, and he never responded. So, a couple of ironies in the story. So I declined the nomination and just didn't show up for the event. I was like, screw you. Have a nice event. And then the other irony is that basically after this tearful breakdown I had, I just gave up, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to go. They're not going to give me the visa. And then the other irony is that Kara Jones, my co-producer and our DP, or director of photography, they went to get their visa. They gave their application in the morning, and then within 24 hours, they had a visa to go. So my personal journey in this is that I never made it to meet my surfing sister in India. And I think the point I want to make is, for the first time in my life, I've traveled to 40 countries, and my global mobility as a surfer from the West was ironically halted because of my Eastern roots, to go give attention to a woman from the East that was sharing something that I shared with her. So anyway, that's just a little backstory there. So you can move to the next slide. And I want to just give you an update to end the India segment on what Ashita's up to now. So I got a Facebook message from her. She's very active on Facebook. And Ashita's busy setting up a surf camp in India now. It's the first of its kind in India, so she's been busy with that. Her auntie gifted her a sewing machine. So she took to making a board cover for her surfboard, and everyone's liked it so much that they started putting in orders. So she's thinking about creating a little side business. And she's also part of a film that's coming out next year called Beyond the Surface, and it's a journey with, I think, 6 other Western surfers that they take throughout India to explore elements of like spirituality through surfing, yoga, and meditation. So if you want to follow her, she's going to be featured in more upcoming films.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that was the India segment.